Get ready for the biggest stories dominating the news today. We start with the massive insurance headache facing the hyperscale data center boom. Insurers are sounding the alarm about an invisible accumulation risk, and we look at how S&P analysts Patricia Kwan and Charles Marie Delpuch are dissecting the dangerous cross-liability buildup across construction and reinsurance treaties. This is a deep dive into how physical and systemic risks are stacking up in this booming sector, and why transparency is now more critical than ever.
Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to hold it with one hand? The PopSocket's Pop Grip gives you a secure grip, works as a phone stand, and even lets you swap the top for a fresh new look. Simple, useful, and perfect for everyday phone use. Click the link in the comments to grab yours on Amazon.
Next up, we shift gears completely to the massive infrastructure and energy challenges shaping the future of data center capacity. We're diving into the hard numbers from the Transition AI conference, where energy researchers revealed sobering projections for 2026. We'll explore the reality of delayed projects and the critical gating factor of power supply that is severely constraining how fast this massive AI infrastructure can actually be built. Now, let's look at local government action taking a hard stance on this growth. In Ontario, the City Council has just passed a 6-month moratorium on any new data center projects, showing a preemptive move by officials like Council President Eddie Gallo. We examine the concerns raised by Service Safety Director Michael Morton and the potential regulatory steps being considered in neighboring states. And finally, we head to the West with a major contradiction in the energy debate. O'Leary is challenging Utah officials, suggesting that the Box Elder Data Center project can actually utilize renewable energy sources, directly contradicting earlier statements. Stay with us as we break down these conflicting reports and what this means for the future of energy and data center development. Insurers are facing a complex challenge in underwriting the rapidly expanding hyperscale data center sector, moving beyond traditional single-site property risks to grapple with invisible accumulation risks stemming from interconnectedness and cross-liability across policies and reinsurance treaties. According to S&P Global Ratings, analysts Patricia Kwan and Charles Marie Delpuch, as data center campuses multiply and interconnect, managing both physical and systemic accumulation will become significantly harder. The initial focus for insurers remains on traditional property damage and construction exposures, which involves managing the concentration of physical assets at specific locations and assessing peril exposure, a standard catastrophe modeling practice. However, the complexity arises from the dense webs of contracts and supply chains linking these campuses. Insurers might be exposed to the same risk through multiple, seemingly separate policies, for example, insuring builders, key suppliers' cargo, and tenant liabilities, without fully recognizing the underlying concentration. Delpuch stressed that tracking this cross-liability risk requires best-in-class transparency tools. This difficulty is compounded at the reinsurance level, where risks bundled into treaties can obscure where the same data center appears multiple times. Furthermore, current business interruption by coverage often remains tightly linked to localized physical damage triggers, potentially excluding systemic losses caused by events like widespread power outages. This limits the current market focus, which remains heavily concentrated on construction risk until facilities are operational. Looking ahead, the landscape is shifting toward non-damage triggers. Operators and insurers will soon confront risks like cyber-driven outages, supply chain failures, and cascading events. Insurers are being urged to clarify cyber coverage explicitly, as standard construction policies will not cover cyber risk. Specialists must now address how cyber events can cascade through physical infrastructure, such as impacting cooling systems, leading to physical damage and business interruption. Non-physical losses, including data theft, add further layers of exposure. Beyond cyber, questions regarding broader perils like civil unrest and terrorism, and their potential for contagion across these hubs are being raised. S&P is signaling that for insurers writing large data center accounts, the key metric will shift from chasing limit growth to investing in granular visibility, requiring tools for tracking exposures across lines, entities, and treaties, alongside stress tests that look beyond single-site events to understand systemic risk. The data center sector is at a critical juncture, with 2025 marking significant announcements and 2026 poised to be the year of execution. As the market sorts itself out, key questions surrounding demand, feasibility, and deployment timelines are dominating industry discussions. Recent insights from the Transition AI conference have illuminated the real-world delivery challenges facing the massive build-out of AI infrastructure. The hurdles to expansion are substantial. Building a successful data center campus demands specialized expertise in site selection, complex energy procurement, power distribution, and precise IT environment design, alongside robust, uninterruptible power systems. Crucially, power remains the primary gating factor, as deployment speed is strictly constrained by the limits of utility grids and the capacity operators can secure. Concerns about delivery timelines are mounting. One projection from Sightline Climate indicated that between 30% and 50% of pipeline projects may not come online before the end of the year, a scenario consistent with observed delays and canceled projects. Furthermore, tens of billions of dollars in planned campuses have been derailed by local community resistance. To navigate this resource-constrained landscape, industry analysts are focusing on track records. Aurora Energy Research is analyzing 277 gigawatts of planned data center capacity, revealing a significant divide in developer experience. This breakdown shows 145 GWs coming from newcomers with no prior operational history, 81 GWs from proven operators with limited pipeline growth, and 51 GWs from aggressive scalers with massive projected expansion. Oliver Kerr, Managing Director for North America at Aurora Energy Research, cautioned that the total North American pipeline of 780 gigawatts, much of which originates from the ERCOT grid in Texas, represents a scenario that is not realistic given current constraints. Meanwhile, AI infrastructure growth is fueling massive capital expenditure. Halcyon, a data platform analyzing regulatory filings, has characterized the current AI buildout as the second biggest economic boom in history in terms of capital expenditure, with hyperscalers planning $700 billion in AI capex this year, set to ramp up sharply through 2028. However, analysts caution that capacity discussions are often distorted by utilities disclosing inflated demand pipelines. The focus now shifts to a critical question: accurately assessing how much of the projected demand is actually feasible and likely to materialize. Ontario City Council has enacted a 6-month moratorium on any development projects related to data centers, specifically including the consideration, acceptance, and granting of applications for data centers supporting artificial intelligence within the city limits. Council President Eddie Gallo stated the measure is a preemptive action based on recent events and actions taken by other municipalities. Service Safety Director Michael Morton cited concerns about the potential effects of data centers, referencing Ohio House Bill 646, which is being considered in the state Senate to establish a data center study commission and set building regulations in Ohio. Morton noted the moratorium allows the city to observe the findings of such studies. In related infrastructure news, the Council authorized the Service Safety Director to pursue competitive bids for the city's 2026 sanitary sewer improvement program. This routine project aims to reduce inflow and infiltration, with an estimated cost of approximately $280,000. The work will continue existing projects, including Chambers Meadows, Millsboro East Road, and Valley Road. Officials conducted a study identifying the area as a high-priority zone for this work, which is projected to have a life expectancy of about 50 years. The Council also approved several ancillary measures, including waiving the requirement for the Service Safety Director to be a resident of the City of Ontario, and authorizing the donation of unneeded and obsolete unclaimed property from the police evidence room. Mayor Josh Bradley announced that summer employment applications are now open for part-time work. tentatively scheduled to begin after Memorial Day and conclude around Labor Day, offering $15 per hour for outdoor tasks such as mowing and general maintenance. Residents can pick up applications at the City Municipal Building at 555 Stumbo Road by May 13 at 4 p.m. The city is also applying for a Safe Streets for All grant, funded by the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, to support local initiatives aimed at preventing roadway fatalities and serious injuries. Finally, Ontario Recreation Director and OYS Director Ken Spencer provided an update on upcoming summer events, confirming that the annual concerts in the park will take place throughout the summer at the band Shell at Marshall Park. The free, kid-friendly concerts, which typically feature food trucks, will begin at 6 p.m. midweek, with the first event scheduled for June 7. Hansel Valley reported on Friday, May 1, 2026, a significant contradiction emerging regarding the use of renewable energy at the Box Elder Data Center. O'Leary has stated that the facility can utilize renewable energy sources, a claim that directly conflicts with statements made by Utah officials. The report was featured on Channel YouTube and was covered by Leah Larson, a sixth-generation Utah resident and water and land use reporter for the channel, who frequently covers environmental, energy, and political issues across the West. Larson is known for her on-the-ground reporting, often exploring the Wasatch Mountains, camping in the desert, and gardening.